You're listening to the ASOTU CON Sessions by Effectv, recorded live in Philly. Josselyn, thank you so much for joining me at ASOTU CON Sessions by Effectv. We had another conversation not too long ago, but now we're here in person.
Yeah.
And you've gotten to experience some of the ASOTU community in person.
Yeah.
So tell me about just your experience this far into the event with the types of people who are in and about, types of dealers and other industry partners that you're meeting.
Oh, the event has been amazing. I think the focus on the customer has been is appropriate and spot on. And the show is pivoted around the customer experience and making customers first. So I applaud you for that as a topic and dialogue. And then the event is really cool. I mean, this forum is awesome. I hope you do more events here. It's very flexible. People are really having a good time networking and listening to really good content.
Oh, man, this is great. I should ask everybody this question.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's great.
But one of the things that always strikes me, like in an event like this, I'm running around a lot, so I don't, and I'm in the schedule and the details and the logistics.
Yeah.
But what it seems like is that people are hearing actually several different perspectives on the same topic. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Yeah,
but
I have too. Yeah, I've heard that.
What has been the one thing that you've heard that you've probably disagreed with the most?
Disagreed?
Yeah, something that you heard, you're like, I don't know that I'd approach it that way.
Well, I'm not sure I'm in that camp. I think I think my disagreement is really just maybe with how slow everything is. I think a lot of these narratives are almost getting tired.
Yes.
Because there's no movement.
You're like, we've been talking about this
and it's
for
like,
a while.
Hey, we should share data. And it's like, yeah.
Right. Everyone's saying yes.
Right.
Everyone's in the room.
Why aren't we? Yeah.
Somebody's going to share some data.
Yeah. And I haven't heard anybody say that's a bad idea. So the question is,
I've never heard that either, actually.
Why aren't we? And I don't know anyone that said we couldn't. So it's really hard to diagnose why that is. I mean, I'm sort of a newcomer to the industry.
Right, which is why I think your perspective is actually a very valid one, because you're not, just like when you hire a new person.
Yeah.
I always tell that person, like, tell us everything you see, because you got like 90 days.
It's fresh eyes,
You got 90 days before you're just going to see everything like we see it. So you're new to the industry. I think it's a very fresh perspective.
I could talk about a few things on that angle, just like working with obviously a pivotal fundamental for Stella is access to data, because she's representing the data to the consumer live, answering questions, FAQs. And
so let me pause you there so people know if they just happen to drop into this.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about Stella, this person, Stella, but Stella is actually an AI deployment.
Yeah.
So just give us like a 60-second summary on who's Stella. Stella loves data.
Yeah.
Right? Stella lives on data, but go ahead.
So Stella is an AI that answers the phone, and I just challenge anyone to think of when Alexa or Siri called them. But ours is the same type of technology. It's conversational AI, and it literally speaks over the telephone and can have very long dialogues.
So can understand.
We're using that capability to book appointments, answer questions about the dealer, hours and address and things like that. And then it's sort of this, I would call it like a trail of gunpowder, because we're just leaning in on all sorts of topics that Stella can dialogue about over the telephone. And that's really a place of impact. And I think even in this show, it's come up a lot as phone centers and call centers and the stress they're under for human capital and training and best practices. And so we feel like just delivering a blow in that area with this product is really radical and exciting.
So you said Stella functions on lots of data.
Yeah.
So now that we know who Stella is, so tell us why the data is important.
Yeah, so it's easy, because if you just look at AI in your life at home, you really don't have to think very hard about where the Google phone or the Apple phone is getting its data. But if you just pause for a moment and consider how much data they have consumed in order to answer any question under the sky, including, tell me a bedtime story, how far away is the moon, and, is Starbucks open? The AIs rely on data and open data standards in order to do their job. And the AI's job isn't to be the source of data, it's to converse about it. And so that's really what we're doing in the dealership. We're putting a new front end on the dealership and then just using the existing infrastructure. We're not trying to redesign the service lane or alter, marketing campaigns. We're really just having Stella be able to communicate to a customer, recognize who they are, understand why they might be calling and what their problems are, and then make recommendations to that customer over the phone using the data. So when I look around at the different vendors, and we've started our journey, we're fairly new in the industry, but a lot of it's very evident that even though the vendors have APIs, they're not very sophisticated. So we go to other industries where we're connecting to data, and it's real time. The APIs are industrial strength and ready for sharing. Where these APIs, what we're finding consistently is that they weren't really built to be open. They're not live or real time, or they're unable to sync except once an hour or once a day.
So it's like having an API
that you can only do 5 calls in an hour, otherwise the whole thing will crash. And you're just like, wow. I mean, they really haven't shared data. And I think, that might answer our own question, but why aren't they sharing data better is a lot of these vendors don't know how. I think, they're saying they want to, but they haven't put any technical expertise in the department that would do it.
So let's drill into that for a second. You said they want to, they don't know how. So it's an expertise thing and not a money thing, is what you're saying? Or
Yeah.
is there risk?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to get inside the head of, you would know this more than me. Why would people be hesitant to share data? I know
not,
some.
But you could take one of the top 5 software companies in all of automotive. Okay.
Yep.
And we connect to them. Their system is down at least once a day. It's been down 15 to 20 hours. It's had all sorts of hiccups. It can't share all of its information, only part of it. And, we call them and they're embarrassed and there's no one there that knows how to talk to us, and there's confusion and they're working on it, and it's going to take 2 quarters to get an update. And
Whoa.
It's just, you could say it's probably like they didn't allocate enough budget to that department.
Right.
It's certainly not something that you couldn't find. I think you could outsource it to India, how to aggregate and share data, or
Yep.
building a service to an FTP site or something isn't super advanced. But coordinating with these vendors is quite challenging.
Give me an example of somebody who gets it right. It could be outside automotive. You say, who's got the industrial level, who's great at it, that maybe people listening would know.
I would point to, we often federate with Oracle and SAP, and it's really not a problem. Those usually would be like we go into a large enterprise or a manufacturer, and, which one are you on? It doesn't really matter. And most of the focus is going to be around what can you share, or your compliance, or what do you do with PII, and those are all addressable, but it's never like they don't know how to share data.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you think, like from a solutions standpoint, you heard the problem, right? You said, we've been talking about it. I don't see anybody taking a step. What do you suggest as a good first step? Like, it's a big problem, right? And so, like, as you think about it, you should address it. Like, what's the Josselyn mode of, like, I think if we just started here, what would you suggest?
I think we're doing it. I think the step is really to work with the dealers. And our thesis has been, since we launched just a few months ago, really, to help dealers, and then use the dealers to work with the vendors, because the dealers are the ones that have the power to influence the vendors. And we've seen that happening. We've had dealers switch software just to get Stella. Multiple times.
Wow.
Like I would say it's like 30% of the time, if we didn't, especially early, if we didn't have the API, they move platforms to get it.
To find one that has the API.
That's
because
amazing,
they really want to use
right?
Stella and they want to deploy.
The software vendors are like, wait, what?
Because we can't do what? With who? What?
Yeah. So I think that's new, but and I'd say we're one of the first real-time systems. A lot of them have APIs that are meant for maybe data analytics later, where you could do a batch at night or something. But, Stella's a live agent. She needs real-time data. You might have a car on the lot right now that you won't have in an hour, and she needs to know.
Yeah, that sounds
right?
like, what other types of retail industries might people run into technology such as Stella?
Well, we're pretty active in the parts space, working with heavy equipment, and those are really exciting areas.
So the industrial side of business.
Oh, big time.
Gotcha.
But you find like a simple question, and we could take this into the home environment as well, but like let's say you need ink for your Hewlett-Packard desk jet. Mm-hmm. Well, I challenge you to even go to hewlettpackard.com and find out what ink you need to buy. I mean, you just put DeskJet ink and you'll get 8 million results.
Right, like how
and
are there so many?
And it doesn't say for what model. It doesn't have an intelligent, dialogue or. But when we go over to heavy equipment, that's exactly what we're doing. So you're like, hey, I need a front loader bucket for my, excavator, and it'll be like, great, what model? What year? What kind of bucket? Did you want a wide one or a narrow one? Do you need teeth? Do you need wear parts?
Right. It says all the other corresponding things.
And it's like all over it, right? It's like trying to upsell you. It knows the inventory. It knows where you can buy it. It knows like what you need to know.
But it's fast, right? So.
And the other thing I would highlight is it has the complete and total answer to the question. So you say something like, I need a bucket, and you go, well, is this the only bucket? Are these all the buckets? Could I see what buckets I could buy, and then I could decide? And search engines don't do that. So, when we look at digital assistant technology, I would describe most BI tools and search engines as a failure to answer the question.
Ooh.
Right? So the question has a precise and complete answer. Like, what times do you have open?
Right.
I have all, this week is
data.
full except for Thursday at 2. It's not a search result. Like,
right.
I found one Thursday at 2 is not an answer, right?
Right.
So we're looking at,
Wow, that's so nuanced, but like nuanced when you say it, but when you hear it as the person trying to book the appointment, you're like, no, it didn't understand me.
You never see it.
Didn't understand me.
You never
right.
see it. Yeah. So like you could go to Best Buy, Geek Squad, and like, okay, what is the best, I don't know, a vacuum, right? And they'd say, well, here's a vacuum, but you want to know all the vacuums, how they're ranked, and why they're best, right? Like it's just
right. To
there's
solve
an
the actual
answer
problem.
is different than a search result. Very different.
Oh my goodness! Well, thank you for spending such a big chunk of your time here with us.
Yeah.
At ASOTU Con.
It's a pleasure.
We really value the fresh thinking in the industry. It's exciting what Stella is doing, and just exciting because it's making other people move. And when the pieces start to move, they really do begin to fall in place. So thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
Yeah, thanks,
You're in
Bob.
ASOTU Con Sessions by Effectv.
Yeah. Good
we'll talk
job
to you
with
soon.
your first conference.
Thank you.
It's shredding it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.